everyone. Thank you for being here tonight, both the candidates who are here as well as voters. We are so thrilled to offer this and host this opportunity to meet the municipal primary candidates. Before we get started, just a little bit of just kind of background. Bri, I'm not seeing slides. Do we have?
Incoming, hold on.
Sorry, everyone. Just wanted to make sure that we're all. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is who we are. We are the Election Hub in partnership with the Charlotte Ledger, and this is our first virtual forum with the municipal primary candidates. We can go to the next slide, Bri. For those of you who haven't had a chance to visit the Election Hub yet, the Election Hub is a free, nonpartisan, comprehensive, and hyper-local resource for voting in Mecklenburg County. Our website is theelectionhub.org, and we have information about every candidate that is on your ballot, and we will continue to have that information in elections to come. So we have the primary information now, and then in October and November, we'll have the general election information at that point. On the next slide, just a little bit of housekeeping. We are recording this event, and it will be made available to registrants and the general public after today. We'll post it both on YouTube as well as on the Election Hub's website. As far as the sequencing of tonight's event, we're going to divide the forum by the various races. We will start first with the at-large race, and then we will move to the district, the city council district races. The sequence of that is going to be a little bit unusual because there were some scheduling issues with some of the candidates, but it's basically going to be starting with District 5, then District 1, 3, 4, and 6. We're going to give 1 minute for each of the candidates when they are on stage, to introduce themselves, and then Tony Messia, the founder and editor-in-chief at the Charlotte Ledger, is going to moderate questions, and there will be a 2-minute limit for each of the responses. I will be keeping time, and if you hear a chime in the background, that chime is that the time is up. If you have any feedback after this event, please feel free to share that with us, either through the contact page on the Election Hub or in the comments field following this. So this is our first virtual candidate forum. Hopefully this will be glitch-free, but thank you all for your time and your attention here today. I'm going to hand the virtual mic over to Tony.
Well, great. Well, thanks, Sucharita. Really looking forward to the discussion tonight, and thank you for organizing it, and thank you also, of course, to Bree Chrisman on our team for helping get this all set up and off the ground. I'm Tony Messia with the Charlotte Ledger. Happy to be working with the Election Hub and the Civic Knowledge Institute on Civic Knowledge Initiative on this. I think it's an important discussion. You know, the election is on September 9th. We have early voting. It's ongoing now through September 6th. And, you know, a lot of people don't vote in these primary elections. The voter turnout is very low. So if you're planning to vote, you're one of the elite few. I think the voter turnout last time around for the primary, the city primary election, I think was somewhere close to, I think it was 13, 15%, something like that. Pretty low, but your vote really does make a difference in these, and these are important decisions for our community, because the city council does a lot of different things. It sets policy on a number of different areas: housing, public safety, of course, it sets a budget and tax rates, deals with growth, water and sewer, rezones land. So there's a whole bunch of different things that the city council does that is important, you know, to our day-to-day lives. Transportation, of course, another big one. And you know, the city council directly supervises 3 employees: the city manager, the city clerk, and the city attorney. But they set the policy and they set the direction of the city in ways that really affect all of our lives. I do want to thank all of the candidates who are participating tonight. We appreciate the time that you spend, and know that you go to a lot of these forums. You're invited to a lot of different meetings. You have, you know, raised your hand to help make our community better. Not everybody agrees on everything all the time, and that's okay. But I think I certainly appreciate, and I think most residents of Charlotte appreciate people who are willing to stand up and work to make our community better, and spend a lot of time at meetings and forums like this, explaining your positions. And I just want to acknowledge that and thank the candidates for that, and of course thank everybody who's watching today virtually as well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start and turn to the at-large race. An at-large race is all that means is that these are people who are elected citywide. The only at-large race on the ballot on September 9th in the primary is on the Democratic side, which means that if you're a registered Democrat or you are registered unaffiliated, you can take the Democratic ballot and you can vote for the at-large candidates across the city. So we'd like to go ahead and all the at-large candidates, you'll have 1 minute. I'd just like you to please introduce yourselves, say who you are, give people a little bit of background about you. I would not assume that people watching this know anything about city politics or city elections, so it might be a chance to introduce yourself, even if you've been on the council for a while. But just please take 1 minute. We'll just go down the line. If you could just, and Sucharita will be keeping time. So if you can keep it to 1 minute, just introduce yourselves, say why you're running and what you hope to accomplish. The first face I see there is James Smuggie Mitchell, who's been on the council for a while. Councilman Mitchell, why don't you go ahead and start?
Thank you for this opportunity. Hello, everyone. I'm James Smudge Mitchell, fortunate enough to be on Charlotte City Council, and I look forward to hopefully getting your support for this upcoming election. The reason why I'm running for the city of Charlotte because of my slogan. I think I still enthusiastic about the job. And what does that mean? That means be able to get up every morning, return phone calls, and to answer over 200 emails we get as been at large candidate. I think I have the experience. Every tough issue that face our community, I've been there to support. Well, we're talking about $100 million affordable housing, East Mall redevelopment, public training for our CMPD officers, or we talking about a new minority and women-owned program. It's very important that we tackle the issues in front of us, like the transit sales tax and other important issues for the 14th largest city, that you have someone who experienced, someone who's enthusiastic about it, and someone who's gotten results for you. So I appreciate your support. James Smudge Mitchell for City Council at large.
All right, thank you. I don't think we had to cut you off on time, so that was good. Next up, I see, I'm just going in order that it's on the Zoom screen here, Matt Britt. Matt, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, say why you're running.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you to the Charlotte Ledger for putting this together. My name is Matt Britt, and I am running for Charlotte City Council at large. I am a North Carolina native, and I am a proud son of two amazing parents. My mom was an ordained minister long before women were ordained ministers, and an advocate for working families. And my dad was a public school champion and really fought hard for LGBTQ rights. So they taught me what service really is. And that's all I have ever known, right? Like, it's like leadership is about you. It's not about me. It's about showing up to make this city the Charlotte you deserve. I'm excited for this opportunity. I want to be a part of these challenges that Smudgy references that we've all talked about a lot over the last few weeks as we think about affordable housing and the real options that we can look for to continue to make this better, to continue to work to not make, allow so much corporate investment and corporate ownership in rental properties, I think is important. And really just look to solve problems and form great partnerships. I've done that in my entire career, and I want to do it for Charlotte so that I can help build the Charlotte you deserve. I'm working to earn your vote. Please, listen today, show up on September 9th. Again, Matt Britt for Charlotte City Council at large. Thank you for the time.
All right, thanks, Matt. Next up, I see Namrata Yadav. Namrata, why don't you go ahead and take a minute and tell us who you are and why you're running?
Sure. My name is Namrata Yadav, and I'm running for Charlotte City Council at large because I believe our city is at a crossroads right now, and we need a new voice. The question is very simple. Do we want more of the same, or are we ready for bold, new future-forward leadership that actually delivers real results? So I'm not a career politician. I came to this country 23 years ago with no connections and no wealth, but I had hope. I started at a community college and built a 20-year career helping people get jobs, access to training, and move up the economic ladder. I know how to bring people together, build common ground, manage big budgets, demand accountability, and deliver measurable outcomes that uplift communities. I have done this all my life in corporate America, and now I want to do it as a public servant. It will be an honor to get your vote and support this amazing city that I call home.
All right, thanks. That's all the at-large candidates I see on here right now. I know there were a few others that said they would be joining us, but I don't see them. Am I missing anybody running at large who has not spoken yet? Okay,
LaWana
we
is
got.
stuck at an in-person event. She just emailed.
Okay, yeah, I know the others running, of course, would be incumbent Dimple Ajmera, the challengers Roderick Davis, Will Hawley, J.G. Lockhart, an incumbent LaWana Slack-Mayfield, and another incumbent Victoria Watlington. So those are some of the other candidates that'll be on that ballot. It's a pretty full ballot at large.
JG just joined.
Well, okay, late breaking news. J.G. Lockhart, are you there? There, I see you now.
Can you guys
Okay.
hear me?
We're just going through the at-large. We were going down the line, and it looks like you're at an event, walking on a cell phone there. But if you would like to take a minute, tell people who you are and why you're running for Charlotte City Council at large in the Democratic primary.
Great. Thank you. And thank you guys for being patient with me. I'm actually at O'Malley's in South Charlotte. Unfortunately, we got double booked. But again, like you said, my name is J.G. Lockhart, and I'm running for Charlotte City Council at large. And although Charlotte has a lot of issues, I think one of the biggest issues we have right now is leadership. Our current leadership, it has to be on the borderlines of suspect, to say the least. I don't know if anybody's been privy to read the report about how our council people have not been showing up to council meetings. And that is extremely alarming because we have current council members that are telling us that this $20 billion tax referendum that's going on the ballot, that we should vote for it. And if they aren't attending the meetings, I'm wondering where is this information coming from that they're telling Charlotteans that they need to spend 85% of this money that's going to benefit Charlotteans. Well, I personally know that it's not going to benefit Charlotteans. And one of the reasons that I'm running is because I believe we need better representation for the people of Charlotte. We need our citizens to be well informed so they can make the best decisions for us. $17 billion or $19.4 billion is a lot of money. And we could be putting that money towards a lot of projects inside the city versus putting that money towards something that's not going to directly benefit Charlotteans. So again, I am running for Charlotte City Council at large. I'm a native Charlottean. My background is in transportation, and this whole tax referendum and this transit issue speaks close to me. It's in my wheelhouse, and I just feel real strongly that people who are elected leaders or people that are running are actually saying why they believe that this tax should be voted yes for, and they aren't saying why. You know, just saying that we need this or we need that doesn't make any sense, because if you look at the current makeup of the people that's making decisions with this money, we are 1 in 8 vote. We have a 1 in 8 say in what happens with 85% of this money. Charlotteans make up 85% of Mecklenburg County's tax base, 85% of the population. However, we only have a 1 in 8 say of what happens with our own transit system. And that doesn't make any sense, but we've been in this upside down situation for the last 26 years, and no one from our leadership standpoint has had the guts to say, hey, this is wrong for Charlotte. We need to relook at what we're doing so that we can provide better transit system for Charlotte.
All right, thanks. I'm sorry to cut you off. We're trying to keep the intros to a minute. The first question I wanted to ask the at-large candidates about is on the issue of public safety. It's been in the news the last few days. On Friday night around 10 p.m., a 23-year-old woman named Irina Zarutska was on a Blue Line light rail train in South End when she was apparently stabbed to death in a random attack. Police arrested a 34-year-old with a lengthy criminal history of mental illness. Now, we all live in a city. There's crime in cities. CMPD statistics show crime in Charlotte is down in the first part of the year compared to the previous year. But, you know, some of these high-profile violent crimes, I think, are making some people feel less safe. What would you say to people who say the city council hasn't done enough to make Charlotte a safe place to live? Let's start with Councilman Mitchell. You've been on the council for a while, Councilman.
Thank you. You know, there's a couple of things. I think number one, first, that was a tragedy. anytime those situations happen in our city, it's not a good look for the city of Charlotte, and definitely that was a terrible accident on the public transit system. I would tell you what we've been able to do on Charlotte City Council is to make sure, one, we do identify where there are hot spots. Number two, we try to make sure that our public transit system, where you run on the light rail and the bus, that you have a good experience. And number three, we continue to work with our DA. You mentioned that the gentleman who perpetrated this horrible crime, he was back out in the streets. And that sends the wrong message to our citizens that you can perpetrate a crime in our community and you do not get punished for that crime. And so we continue to ask our DA, Spencer Mayweather, to work with him. How do we need to go to General Assembly to get tougher penalties when we have folks who do horrible things in our community? And I would tell you, about being the 14th largest city, we are going to have growing pains, but it's up to this council to make sure our budget reflects our priorities. So if you look at the past budget, without a proper tax increase, we still make sure that our CMPD officer men and women, we offer them pay, we offer them training, we offer them benefits, and we got to make sure that we continue to keep you safe, because it's about a quality of life in the city of Charlotte. And we want to make sure that if you feel there's a perception of crime, then there's a crime. We need to address it.
All right, thank you. Namrata, what do you think?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Sure. Yeah, questions on public safety. What do you think? Do you think? What do you say to people who might say the city council hasn't done enough to make Charlotte safe?
Yeah, I mean, I do think if like Councilman Mitchell just talked about, if there is a perception of, there is no safety, people will actually feel that there is no safety. But I do think public safety is the first responsibility of the city government. If people don't feel safe in their own neighborhoods, in their homes right now, everything else, schools, jobs, our small businesses, our large-scale businesses are at risk. I do support giving our CMPD the resources, the benefits, the pay, so that we can recruit and retain the best officers. I recently had a meeting with our police federation, and I found out that we are lacking 600 police officers right now in the city. I would want to go in and figure out, why is that? How can we actually fill that gap pretty quickly? Because that is something that is needed. At the same time, with good policing, we have to build trust in our communities and think about accountability, so that every resident who lives here knows that law enforcement is working with them and not just against them. And finally, prevention. We need to think through, how do we invest in after-school programs, mentorship programs, workforce training, and mental health support, so that younger people don't end up in the dangerous cycles to begin with.
Okay, thanks. I think that's time. Thank you. JG, what about you? What do you think as it relates to public safety? How's City Council doing on that?
Well, honestly, if City Council isn't present, I don't see how they can get anything done. I mean, we got council members that aren't showing up to meetings. You saw the report. So if our council, if we don't have a full council that are able to put their collective heads together to come up with solutions, the city is going to continue to suffer. We've had backdoor dealings with our police department. We need to figure out what is going on with our police department, that we're looking for a new chief every 2 years. Now, I understand the city manager hires the police chief, but who hires the city manager? City council. Again, it falls back on leadership. And if we don't have the proper leadership that is guiding the city, as in my opinion, we do not have the proper leadership, then we're going to continue to suffer these problems, and we're going to continue to have these deficits. And it's unfortunate this random act of violence comes at this time in our city. But at the same time, we have to look at what we're doing together collectively from a leadership position for the city.
All right, thanks. And I know you've mentioned a couple times now the absences, council members not showing up to meetings. That was in the Charlotte Observer article. Was it yesterday or a couple days ago, in which they examined the attendance records and found some folks were around 90%, some were in the 60s, kind of between there. So just for anybody who might not know, I think that's what you're referring to. Question now for Matt, public safety. How good a job do you think the city council is doing on making Charlotte a safe place to live?
I appreciate the question, Tony, and love some of the answers, some good bits and pieces and nuggets that we're hearing. I know Namrata mentioned sitting down with the Fraternal Order of Police and Lodge Number 9. That's the kind of conversation I was thinking towards as well. I think first and foremost, let's talk about this incident. I appreciate JG's term of kind of random act of violence. Listen, we have violence in a lot of areas around Charlotte, right? This is a very unfortunate circumstance, and I feel for this young lady and her family, and it is 100% bad look. I think we need to look at how we're keeping the light rail in particular and mass transit safe, because there have been other mass transit issues that we've worked with. But let's go back to Namrata's point of 600 police officer shortage, right? Not only, and I think we have to be very intentional and deliberate with how we fill those spots, because the discussion I had with them was rooted in how do we get to the why? How do we get to what's really at the root cause of this? And they're having a culture problem. They have a massive culture problem. They are running police officers through quickly. They're giving them second and third and fourth chances to take tests and things like that. I'm not blaming anyone particularly for that, because you end up in this cycle of like, hey, we got 600 shortage, we got to fill them. How do we fill them fast? Wait, we're filling them too fast. Okay, so like there's a lot of issues there, right? So these things, none of these things that we talk about on City Council, no matter how we frame them to you, are easy. We need smart minds, we need strategic minds, we need fresh minds coming to these things with a new look and new eyes. That is standard business practice. When you've seen something too long, you get numb to it. There has to be a way to improve the culture of the police department, and potentially this new chief is a big piece of that, but it's the entire department and how we build that camaraderie, and that affects everything that we've talked about. How do we connect better with communities? How do we support people better? How do we maybe provide cars to these police officers that are permanent to improve retention? There's a lot of things at play, and we need people that are ready to do new things.
All right. Thank you. I do see that LaWana Slack-Mayfield has joined us. She's an incumbent running at large. LaWana, thank you for joining us. I know there are a lot of other things tonight, and people are popping in and out here and there. We've talked about a couple different issues. We started by asking people if they could just please introduce themselves. If you would like to take a minute and just tell us who you are and why you're running for Charlotte City Council.
So good evening, everyone. I am LaWana Slack-Mayfield. Please forgive me, because as was mentioned, there was another event, so I stepped out of that one. So thank you all for tuning in online. I have had the pleasure of serving you now for 12 years, 8 years as the District 3 representative, representing Southwest Charlotte. During that time, I created our TLC by CLT housing rehab program. I led the construction on the Goodwill Opportunity Campus, as well as our first and at this point only teen job fair out at the Charlotte Premium Outlets. And I hosted the District 3 Airport Job Fair, which created a lot of job opportunities for 7 years. In this role, a number of you came out and supported me to be reelected in 2022, this time serving as an at-large member. I am leading our Faith and Housing Initiative, which is focusing on building relationships with our religious institutions and our development community. I am thankful that I was able to motion for us to get $2.5 million in the budget to help start that off, because if it's not in the budget, it's not real. Also, this past June, I am thankful that my colleagues supported my recommendation of $1.5 million over the next 3 years through a grant for our city employees, because we learned a number of our city employees have been facing a number of financial challenges as well. And these grants will help them with rents, with mortgage payments, with groceries, with medication, with whatever they need. I am asking for you to continue to support me.
Okay. You're at time. Okay, thank you. And LaWana, we'll go back to you for this next question. This was one from a reader, emailed it in yesterday. I'm going to vary it a little bit, but looking at who's running at large, this is a primary election. All 9 people are Democrats. Some people might look at that and say, well, what's the difference? They're all in the same party. They probably stand for the same things. What does it mean to you to be a Democrat, and how are you different from other Democrats?
What it means to me is showing up. What I can say is I have the receipts, and I have the TLC by CLT housing rehab, the job readiness program through the airport, leading now the Faith and Housing Initiative. I would encourage everyone to check out my website, vote.LaWanaMayfield.com, because I have been able to bring a lot of projects. Anybody that has the CLT Plus app, if you don't, look it up. Instead of being on the phone with 311, we are on 2-year terms. It's very difficult to get a lot done in a 2-year term, but I can say that every term that I have been in office, I have been able to take the conversations I have in community to the council table to get policy created that is helping us move forward. I'm not helping everyone. I still have a lot of work to do, but when you have 9 very independent personalities, what I am saying where I stand out is I can speak to every term of work that I have been able to lead and or bring to the city as a new initiative to move our city forward and to help our workers. Because if our workers cannot afford to live here, we're going to see a mass exodus of our workforce.
All right, thanks. Matt, let's go to you next. What does it mean to you to be a Democrat? I mean, we're in a city that's the Democrats run the city council, county commission, but in Raleigh, it's a different story. Well, I mean,
100%.
what does it mean to you to be a Democrat? And how would you work, with other levels of government, even if they're not democratically controlled?
Listen, I appreciate that question, Tony. And I think the answer is almost in your question, right? At the end of the day, I'm super proud to be a Democrat, right? I've been a Democrat my entire life. I joked with Larkin Eccleston recently that, he's the one that says he was a Republican at some point because that's the way he was brought up, and then he got wise and changed. But at the end of the day, it's about the person, right? I have support from people who are Republicans. Like, I know that they see the person that I am, and it's about that for city council. It's about that for the city of Charlotte. And I know all my Democratic friends are proud of the Democrat that I am and the way that I think about people. So at the end of the day, what I want to do is be the best person I can be for Charlotte. I think we see, if you just look at the record, right, you see this potential of like, maybe some people aren't, it's already been brought up. Maybe some people aren't coming to meetings. Maybe some people approach things differently. Maybe some people are focused on the wrong things. Maybe some people aren't, kind of working every day for the city of Charlotte. I want to show up in every district every month, every month have a town hall across the city of Charlotte, rotating between all the districts and making, letting everyone in our city have the chance to be heard, listened to, and have good reactions and good strategies to help them. That's what it's all about. It is about the person, right? I get we're all Democrats and I love that, right? But at the end of the day, it's about the person and how they act. And I've talked a lot on this campaign show about the art of the possible. How do we form partnerships with other groups, whether it's the county commissioners, whether it's the state? We have to be friendly with everyone that we work with so that we can have great partnerships and great opportunities to make our city better.
Okay, I'm going to go to Dimple Ajmera next. Dimple just joined us. Looks like also leaving an event. There's a theme running apparently tonight. But Dimple, we've talked about a few different topics. We started off by asking people to just explain who they are and why they're running. I'm going to package these and ask you if you could just explain who you are, why you're running for city council, and then also what does it mean to you to be a Democrat?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony and Suchitra, for this opportunity. I appreciate it. I'm Dimple Ajmera, Charlotte City Council member at large. I'm one of the 4 at-large Charlotte City Council members. I'm running for another term to continue the work that we had started together. I've always put community first, and I've always voted my values. I am very principled, and the reason I got started in public office is I lost my father in a sudden heart attack, and when he was 55, and that shook me to the core. And as I was writing his obituary, I started thinking about what is going to be my legacy. And I shadowed my predecessor, John Autry, for over a year. And I realized how much impact your local elected officials have on your day-to-day life, from everything from housing, public safety, to economic opportunities, to zoning. All of those are decisions that your local elected officials make. And I was appointed to serve out his term, and then I ran for at-large seat. I appreciate the support that has been given to me over the years, and I hope to continue to have your support for another term on the Charlotte City Council. I chair the Budget Committee on the Charlotte City Council, and we have Council Member Mayfield, who also serves on the committee alongside Council Member Mitchell. And I also serve on the Housing and Safety Committee with Chairwoman Watlington and Vice Chairwoman Mayfield. And we've done great work together. We,
Okay. I think we're just about at time. I'm sorry.
all right. Well,
Go ahead, Dimple.
lastly, let me just say, keep it simple, vote for Dimple.
Okay, very good. We'll go ahead and go to JG next. JG, what does it mean to you to be a Democrat, and how are you different or similar to other Democrats running for this seat?
I'm sorry, what was the question? What it means to be a Democrat? Is that
What does it mean to
said?
be a Democrat, and how are you different than other Democrats running for this seat?
Oh, well, let me just be honest with you. Excuse me. Let me just be honest with you. From where I stand right now, this election is a lot bigger than just Democrats. I think the city of Charlotte as a whole needs fair representation. And whether it comes from a Democrat or a Republican, it doesn't matter, but we need better leadership for the city as a whole. From what I understand, I know some good Republicans. I know some good Democrats. I know bad Republicans. I know bad Democrats. But for what Charlotte needs right now, Charlotte needs good, fair representation for its people, for its citizens, for its tax base. We need good stewards of Charlotteans' money. That's the most important thing. And whether that comes from a Democrat or Republican, I just happen to be a Democrat, then so be it. But as far as partisanship, as far as how we can run and operate certain things, I'm really not, I'm not going to get into that part. I just think for the city of Charlotte, the city that I love, that was born and raised in, we need what's best for Charlotte.
Sounds good. We got a couple others. James Smudgie Mitchell, what about you? What does it mean to you to be a Democrat? And I mean, people looking at this list and say, oh, they're all a bunch of Democrats running. What's the difference?
Well, I'm proud to belong to the Democratic Party. I have all my life. Started out being president of Young Democrats back in the early 1997, kind of worked my way up through the Black Political Caucus. So to me, it's an honor to be a D. But I think we all are different, right? We have different passions. So for me, it's been affordable housing. So I champion the $100 million affordable housing. It has been about workforce development. 2 years ago, we had a city council retreat. I led the effort. Let's hire Danielle Frazier to head up our workforce development. At the time, Charlotte was 50, and now we moved up to 38. And then it's important minority participation. Minority and women need to get more city contracts. And last but not least, economic development. Well, we're talking about that corridors opportunity, or we're talking about revitalizing the East Lamar site. So I think we all different, but we all carry the Democratic banner. But I think we serve all citizens. And how do we do that, Tony? We listen. I had more town hall meetings than any other city councilman, because it's important as a leader, you must listen, then act and get results.
All right. Namrata, how about you? What does it
Thank
mean
you,
to you to be a
Tony.
Democrat? Go ahead.
For me, being a Democrat means holding myself to an extremely high standard. And I believe that it also means that the government works for the people and not the other way around. But on city council, I believe the work is partisan. Potholes and garbage doesn't ask us if you're a Democrat or Republican. Housing, transit, public safety, those aren't red or blue issues. Those are Charlotte issues. And that's how we need to operate. I think what will make me different is that I know how to keep some of my national views on things happening right now to the side and only think about what's the right thing for Charlotte, what's the right thing for our tax dollars, what is it that I can do at the local level to really solve the problems that are here. And I really do think our city council right now needs a shakeup, because as Democrats, we can do way better. We can't be pointing at the other side when we can't clean up our own house. So that's what is different about me. And I've spent my career building partnerships with people in corporate America for 20 years. I want to do the same kind of collaboration in our city.
Okay. Thank you. And if people have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We are obviously kind of constrained on time, but we'll do it the best we can. Next question I have for the people running at large is on growth and infrastructure. You know, the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance put out a new figure the other day. It said 157 people are moving to the Charlotte region every single day. Now that's the entire region. Mecklenburg County, I think it's closer to 60, but it's still a lot of people moving here all the time. And one of the things I hear a lot from residents, I go to a lot of these community zoning meetings. You all probably do too. And one of the things I hear whenever something's being developed is, we just don't have the infrastructure to support this. So we put in a bunch of townhomes here. Well, how are the roads going to handle it? How are the water and sewer going to handle it? One of the main things the city council does is take care of some of that infrastructure. What has Charlotte done, and what can Charlotte be doing better as it comes to building some of that infrastructure to handle the growth that we're having? Why don't we go ahead? We'll start with LaWana. Can you answer that one? Infrastructure. How are we doing?
Yeah, thank you for that. I say if we had to give a grade, I would give us a C, honestly. Charlotte has done some great work with our development, but we have not kept up infrastructure wise. Yes, there's a piece of that where the North Carolina General Assembly has not released like our Power Bill dollars for over 6 years, money that we sent up through our taxes that should have come back when we are the largest contributor, the city of Charlotte, to the tax base across the state of North Carolina. But one of the others, we don't like to say the word moratorium, but I have been pushing for a number of years for us to slow down. The idea that we have both city and state maintained roads, and we are approving projects like along Mount Holly Huntersville Road or Mount Holly Road or Belmead or Belhaven, which are 2-lane roads, without having the state provide the infrastructure and the road widening. That is a concern. I'm also concerned with the number of multifamily that we have in our city, because home ownership is how you have the ability to build generational wealth. So we need to look at the impact that investors, because we have over 100,000 single family homes in Charlotte today that are owned by investors, whether they're local or national. We also need to look at how your local representatives and state representatives, how many properties do they own and what is the affordability level? When we're looking at infrastructure and we're looking at moving people around the city, every time we approve a new 300, 400, 500 unit building right next to a residential community, thanks to the UDO that was passed a number of years ago, some of that is taken out of our hands, because if it's a by right, there's no site plan. So we have no idea what the design is going to be. We have an opportunity to rethink that entire conversation and slow down to look and plan. What do we want 2050 Charlotte to look like as it was planned many years ago?
All right, thank you. Let's go to Dimple next. Dimple, how is Charlotte doing in terms of building the infrastructure that it needs to support all this growth? You're on mute.
Yes.
There you go.
As Councilmember Mayfield said, and some of my colleagues said, we are seeing a huge amount of growth. We are the second fastest growing city in the nation, over 150 people moving into our city every single day. And that requires very intentional investments in our infrastructure. We budget every year, have made increased investments, but that's just kicking the can down the road. The referendum that we will have this November is the largest investment that this city council, along with county commissioners, will be making because of the help from our state delegation and state legislators. That will be up to the residents to decide. As we are going at such a fast pace, we need to make that investment in our infrastructure, because this is going to support our roads, our public transit, as well as sidewalks, bike lanes, and street lighting. And that is also a safety issue. We have seen a number of fatalities involving pedestrian, and we just cannot have that. We got to invest in our infrastructure. And I support the plan that is currently being proposed. I know it is not perfect, but we don't have a plan B if this doesn't pass. So we are way overdue in making this critical infrastructural investments to accommodate the growth that we are seeing.
Okay, thanks. Matt, what about you? How good or poor of a job is the city of Charlotte doing on infrastructure and being ready for growth?
Tony, I appreciate LaWana's note of a C. I mean, I don't know that, I haven't spent a lot of time on the panel, in these forums for the last few weeks talking about, kind of judging past performance or anything like that. It's more about, yes, we have a lot of growth coming. We have to be ready to react. We have to continue to evolve. We have to continue to problem solve. I absolutely appreciate Dimple bringing up the transit tax because I think that's going to be a big piece of it, right? When we think about roads, we're talking about 40% of that $19.4 billion going towards roads. How do we look to build roads and widen roads in the most strategic places? One of the things that I actually had a good conversation with a couple of the writers of the bill was one of the things they mentioned was actually smart stoplights. And how do we continue to make things like, I mean, I was on Johnston Road for an event the other night trying to get down, to the far south end of Johnston Road, and it was brutal. How do you get down Pineville Matthews Road at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? I live in South Charlotte, so I see all of these things, and I travel around the city and see the challenges that exist on Beatty's Ford or up towards uptown. So I think we have to continue to look at those things and trying to get more strategic about how we can solve these problems. And I think all of that's about partnership too. So I think we have to look at how do we have better discussions. I often say I have a concern. We've seen it in some ways where there's not a lot of partnership on the council. So expecting the council to have the partnerships that we need as a city with the county and with the state seems like something that doesn't really work well right now. So I want to continue to do that and build those partnerships so that we can solve real solutions, real problems with real solutions and continue to make things better for people so that they can have the Charlotte they deserve. That has to include opening up the arteries of our city so that we can have people that can get to jobs faster, move further away so that we can have more access to affordable housing as we kind of expand our radius. But I appreciate the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. Namrata, what do you think? Infrastructure?
I think everybody says amazing stuff. But I also feel that, Charlotte can't be the city of the future if you're stuck in traffic. So for me, I'll break up the answer in what we can do and how we can do it from the limited knowledge I have as a newbie. I think what we need to do is invest in reliable public transit. And I do think this transit tax is a good way to get us there. We need safe streets. Well, we need bike lanes. We need sidewalks in areas that don't have that. We need to be thinking about pedestrians and not just cars. And we need regional collaboration. We need to be talking to the state and also our counties to make sure that people can get to their jobs without congestion. And that's what I'm going to continue pushing for. And how we can do it, I mean, with accountability, it's my favorite topic. But accountability, how do we ensure that voters and residents know how these projects are going, where the money is being spent? And how do we do better with business-driven partnerships, like getting the private side with the public side to deliver on some of these commitments?
All right. Councilman Mitchell, what do you think? Infrastructure, how are we doing?
We need to do a better job. Everyone's talked about the 14th largest city, and we will continue to grow. So one, we got to be more proactive. I think we first had our first infrastructure meeting about 2 years ago, and it was very eye-opening when we got old water pipes that's 50 and 60 years old. I'm a strong fan of the transit sales tax that will be on the ballot in November. That's one way to address the problem. I think then it's take creative leadership. How do we continue to work with those in state of North Carolina and the General Assembly to prioritize our roads, as Councilman Mayfield mentioned earlier? Then, and more importantly, is we look at the impact we have on our school system. So let me tell all your listeners who are out there, when you see a blue Z in your neighborhood that's about to come up, that means we need you to be engaged. We need our citizens to participate in all new rezonings so we can get your feedback. It's a required meeting. It's very important that our citizens voice their concerns when they see new development. And so now we're looking at our impact on fire, our impact on public service. We mentioned we 600 police officers short. And so where there's growth, there could be potential more problems. We continue to need a proactive council that would address the tough issues and do it with experience and results, such as citizens say, I feel comfortable, and now the 14th largest city has improved my quality of life.
All right, thanks. And JG, final word on this topic to you. Infrastructure, what's Charlotte doing well? What's it not doing well?
Well, I think one of the telling things that you hear from our current council members is that we can do better. Well, why haven't they? You know, that's the biggest thing. And how can we do better when we have the same leadership? If you're there and you've been there, why haven't we been able to do better? As far as the infrastructure, council approves all new development over the city. The overdevelopment in the city, everyone knows it. In certain areas, it's out of control. And council has been the one controlling that. So how do we expect to do better with the same leadership? It's almost the definition of insanity. You want change, but you're going to stick with what you got. I do believe that we definitely have to look at our future. We definitely have to look at our planning. And you started this out by talking about the 157 people that are moving to Charlotte's region. I hear often that our council members, it seems like the plan is to try and plan for those 157 people. So let me just educate everyone. The 157 people moving to the Charlotte region is composed of 14 counties. That's Charlotte, the counties that touch Charlotte, and the counties that touch the counties that touch Charlotte. That is considered the Charlotte region, to where these 157 people are moving. So we can, as a city, Charlotte, we do not have to be looking at planning for 150 moving to Charlotte per day. Well, our focus needs to be on is what can we do for the citizens that are here today, the 1 million citizens that are living here in Charlotte, and what can we do collectively to lead them in a better way.
All right. Next question, and we're just about, this might be the last question here. We're got to move on to some of the district races, but if maybe we can just limit these to 1 minute each. I know we've been doing 2, but let's limit it to 1. Following up on that, I know we talked about infrastructure. Some of you mentioned the transit and transportation plan and how that might help with roads, things like that. We've got a question from Stephanie, who says, with SNAP benefits being cut, Medicaid cuts, and very few true affordable neighborhoods, how do you expect a worker making minimum wage with a family to feed and absorb a higher sales tax? Can you do the math at minimum wage supporting a family of 4, all expenses and a higher sales tax? And what she's referring to, of course, is that, you know, the transit and transportation plan that's going to be on the ballot in November, not in September, but in November, that would raise the sales tax to 8.25% from the current 7.25%, which would fund a lot of these road and transit improvements. So the question is, how can people on minimum wage afford a higher sales tax? JG, why don't you go ahead?
Well, the short answer is they can't afford it. This is an unnecessary tax increase for Charlotte. And that's one of the biggest issues that I have with a lot of our current council members and those that are supporting it. This is an unnecessary tax. If you were to look at this transit plan, if you were to look into the PAVE Act, if you were to look into the Transit Governors Interlocal Agreement, which is the agreement we signed 26 years ago, you will see that our transit issues are directly due to the current Metropolitan Transit Commission. And no one seems to have the wherewithal to speak up and say that, hey, this commission is not serving Charlotte. So why are we taking advice and want to put more money into a plan that's taken away from Charlotteans who are going to spend 85% of this money, who are 85% of the tax base, who are going to reap very little benefits from this current plan? The first 100 million of the roads, of the 40% roads, 100 million in the first 5 years is going to go to road improvements in Huntersville, Cornelius, and Davidson.
All right, we're at time. Thank you. Let's go to a couple of the incumbents who support the transit and transportation plan. Dimple, Ajmera, Councilmember Ajmera. What about that? What about the ability of people making minimum wage to be able to afford a higher sales tax?
Yeah, so let me first give context. So the sales tax increase will not be applied to 1 penny increase will not apply to essentials. So think about groceries. It will not apply to groceries or prescriptions. The second thing I want to mention is that 30% of the revenue comes from visitors and businesses. So 70% is coming from our residents, but 30% is coming out of our other sources. So the only option that your council has is sales tax or property tax. As the chair of the budget committee, I'm proud to say that our property tax rate is the lowest when you compare us to other 15 large cities in the state. So this sales tax, I understand it is a regressive tax, but that's why I wanted to make sure that people are aware this is not going to apply to essentials. There is a math that's being done that shows that average family will pay about 120 to $127 per year for the sales tax increase. But in return, they will get more sidewalks, bike lanes, public buses. And I'm a product of public transportation. Our family could not afford a car for many years, and we relied on public buses. So so I just want to make sure the benefits, you compare benefits versus the cost, which is 127 per year based on the analysis done. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Councilmember Mitchell. You said you supported the plan, but what about this, and how are the people on minimum wage, what's going to be the effect of them if there's a higher sales tax?
I think Councilmember Ajmera touched on a very good point. We need to inform the citizen that this tax is not on the essentials like grocery and medicine. I think exactly to the young lady asked the question, we hoping, but to pass the transfer sales tax allow you to have opportunity to get a better paying job. That's why this is so important. This transit tax is more than transportation. It's about economic development. It's about a quality of life. It's about improving your neighborhood and the amenities. And so in this sales tax is for all citizens. I think Councilmember Ajmera is right when you look at the return on investment. And so I'm hoping the voters will look at this, that it is a positive move for us to allow everybody to continue to live in a city now that has a public transit system, better quality of life, at the same time provide an opportunity for jobs as well.
Okay, very good. And some folks are pointing out in the chat that the city's estimate is that the sales tax increase would cost the average household $240 per year. Although I think for low income households, it was estimated a little bit less. I think it was around 175, something like that.
Yes, it was 127 for low income.
127. Okay. Councilmember Mayfield, what about you? What do you think about the effect of the potential sales tax increase on low income households?
So the reality is we still have a lot of residents that are earning the state's minimum wage of $7.25. It is going to impact them tremendously. The concern that I have with the sales tax is, one, many years ago, the way we funded transportation was the federal government paid into it, the state paid into it, and then the city paid into it. That is how we were able to grow the development, the blue line, the extension, and what we have currently. Luckily, at last night's council meeting, I encourage everyone to watch on Monday nights, I did mention to the manager through our council topics that I want us to bring the information, not just highlighting the benefits of the sales tax, but let's look at the reality of the sales tax. We say it's on prepared foods. We have a lot of residents that live in hotels and motels. They're not living in Fairfield Inns that have refrigerators and have a stove or a microwave in it. So those are the individuals that are eating out, getting prepared foods for their families, for themselves, that are going to feel the impact of this. As well as when we move this transportation forward, there's a challenge of our most needy in the community having access to the transportation. So the answer to our question is no, it's not going to help her, and it is going to cause a financial hardship.
Okay, thank you. We're at time. Namrata, what do you think? Effect of the higher sales tax on low-income households?
I mean, it's going to be massive. I understand the concern. And for someone working minimum wage jobs, the reality is they are also the same workers who rely on transit to get to work. So if buses are late or unreliable, they lose hours of pay. So that's why I believe that if you're asking working families to pay more, we must guarantee equity in return, whether it's reduced fares, thinking about better service in underserved neighborhoods, and investments in which help in commutes, and they're reliable and affordable. And we need accountability. I mean, yes, if we do pass this, we need to make sure people sitting on the commission making decisions are transit riders. We need to make sure that every single person and voter knows exactly where the money is going and what the plan is. And we need to continue to giving contracts to communities that actually need it.
All right, thanks. Matt, what do you think? Effect of higher sales tax with the transit and transportation plan on low-income households?
Tough to go towards the end here, but obviously we expect there'll be a negative effect. I understand that part of it. I think that's a process we have to be completely aware of and have our kind of our eyes on the ball and in moving things forward and addressing it. But I do think the use is going to be important. Namrata reference, like being understanding that a lot of these families use the public transit, use the rail, use the buses, that we're going to improve. I think that's a piece of it. I think we also have to find better ways to just address affordable housing and wages in general, right? Wages absolutely need to come up. People need more opportunities. We need to find the best ways to address that. And I also think part of the affordable housing, concerns and challenges that we're dealing with can help with that. So how do we create programs that allow for people to live better lives and make a better Charlotte for themselves? And we got to show up and listen to them. And that's what we'll do. That's what I'll do as a Charlotte City Council at-large member.
Okay, thanks. And that's going to do it for the at-large segment of tonight. I would point out we have links to all the candidates' websites at www.theelectionhub.org. I think I have that right. Right, Susan? Is that the right address? Theelectionhub.org. And so thank you to all the candidates who joined us tonight. Dimple Ajmera, Matt Britt, JG Lockhart, LaWana Slack-Mayfield, James Smuggie Mitchell, and Namrata Yadav. There are 3 other candidates, Roderick Davis, Will Hawley, and Victoria Watlington, who are not here tonight. But they're running as well, and their information is on theelectionhub.org as well. So thank you to all the candidates. We'll go ahead and we'll move on. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the district races. Thank you. Here are the city council districts. You'll see, there are primaries in 5 of these districts. We're going to start, actually, you would think we would start with District 1, but actually tonight we're going to start with District 5 because of a scheduling issue. So if we could get, I think they're already on, Juan Diego Mazuera Arias and Marjorie Molina. I think they're both here, right? I see Marjorie and I see JD here.
Yes.
Oh, he is here. Okay. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead? If we just maybe each of you take a minute. And this, incidentally, this is District 5. This is East Charlotte. This is a race between incumbent Marjorie Molina, who has been on the city council since 2022, and JD Mazuera Arias, who is challenging. And so why don't we just go ahead, each of you take a minute and introduce yourselves and say why you're running. Let's start with the incumbent Marjorie Molina.
Tony, actually my video, you need to ask your host to.
Okay. My apologies. If we can get Marjorie's video going, if there's a way to do that. And JD's as well, I think, right? Oh, JD is on. Okay, there we go. We want to make it fair. Right, we want to be fair. Now I can see you both, so I think we're fair. So go ahead, Marjorie, if you want to introduce yourself, say who you are and why you're running.
Yeah, the video actually was saying that the host had cut off my video.
Okay, that's on us. Nothing to do with you.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you for having this opportunity to speak with voters. I am Marjorie Molina. I am a 2-term Charlotte City Council member, and I represent East Charlotte in District 5. I've lived in Charlotte since 2004. I moved here, purchased my first home the same year. I moved here for a bank job. I worked for Citi when I first came. I am a mother of 2 children that are now both teenagers in high school who were born right here in East Charlotte and were raised. I've been no stranger to the community before being elected, but while being elected, we've done some amazing things in East Charlotte. We have settled the last 30 acres of Eastland Yards. We've protected more than 170 families through Pepper Tree Apartments. We have invested more than $20 million in the strategic investment area of Harrisburg Road. We're now investing more than $73 million to widen Robinson Church Road, and we've done so much more.
Thanks, Marjorie.
All right, thanks. JD, why don't you introduce yourself and say why you're running?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Juan Diego Mazuera Arias, also known as JD. I'm a proud son of East Charlotte. I grew up in the Castlewood and Silver Oak apartments that used to be in front of East Mecklenburg High. I went to Idaho Elementary, Randolph Middle, and East Meck. Proud alum from the class of 2020 of Queens University of Charlotte, and then spent 2 years in DC working for Capitol Hill nonprofit think tanks, and then went to get my master's degree in public administration at NYU. I know firsthand what it feels like for a community to be overlooked while other parts of Charlotte are given attention. And that's why my first priority is transparency and communication, because I do believe that District 5 deserves a council member who listens, shows up, and brings neighbors into the decision-making process. Secondly, public safety, making our neighborhoods safer by addressing root causes, investing in youth and prevention programs to curb juvenile crime, and improving our basic infrastructure. And third, building really a local economy that belongs to us by bringing good paying jobs into East Charlotte, uplifting the current assets we already have, and attracting real investment into East Charlotte and protecting small businesses. This campaign is about bringing city council to Charlotte.
Hang out. There we go. Sorry.
No
Another
worries.
candidate not here, but go ahead.
It's about bringing the power of city council back to East Charlotte and the voices of East Charlotte back to city council.
Okay, very good. I know this race is getting some attention. It seems like it's getting a little bit hot. I'd like to ask each of you, I don't assume that people necessarily, and you probably see this when you go knocking on doors, people don't necessarily follow politics the way a lot of people follow politics. They might not know who you are. How would you, and we'll start with JD, how would you describe the differences between you and your opponent?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I'm running because I spoke to over 150 folks individually who are District 5 residents before deciding to run. I said that if the community was okay with their current representation, if they were content, I wouldn't run, right? If things were working for them, if they've seen positive change within the last 3.5 years, I wouldn't be running. But what I heard was something completely different. I heard that there was a lack of communication, a lack of transparency. Typically, voters and District 5 residents felt like they were being spoken at rather than speaking with, and having a true conversation. And so I want to make sure that we're centering the community's voices back into the decision-making process in city council. I want to make sure that they actually have a voice, that they feel like they can speak to somebody, and then they have a representative that is receptive and communicative with the people that elected them to be there in the first place.
Okay, Council Member Molina, same question. If people ask you, hey, what's the difference between you and this guy who's running against you? What do you say?
Well, I would say that as a two-term candidate who is duly elected, that the people actually voted for me to be in the seat again, very recently in 2023. And first of all, I want to make sure that I'm clear. District 5 has over 125,000 people. So 150 is barely 1/10 of a percentage point of the number of people. So it's not truly representative to say with 150 that there's complete discontent with more than 125,000 people. But what sets me apart is real lived experience. I've spent most of my adult life in Charlotte. I've served on city boards, county boards, and with just 2 terms on council, I've delivered real results for what is East Charlotte. It's not in theory, it's actual practice. And so I definitely know that I'm ready to do the job starting day one when reelected. And I'm confident in what we've achieved in the last 3 years. And I know that we will continue to achieve more through my leadership.
It does seem one of the points of disagreement between the two of you is on this transit and transportation plan. Councilmember Molina, we'll start with you. I mean, what is it? And I know there's been some disappointment from some people in East Charlotte and Matthews, not that you represent Matthews, just that the Silver Line looks like it won't be extended fully down, Independence and then over, on Monroe. What is it? Why is it a good deal for District 5? Why is this transit and transportation plan a good deal? What does District 5 get out of it?
So I'll start by saying that the real contention for many of the residents, because this has been an ongoing conversation since 1998, where there were iterations of what this would be, and now a reality of what it possibly can be. And so, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my opponent. Is that supposed to be?
Sorry, he flashed on for a second. I don't know. Sometimes I think if someone's talking or there's noise, they pop up. Apologies, but go ahead and continue.
Okay. And so I want to, first of all, we've talked about the regional numbers and the regional plan, and this is a 30-year plan. And I told someone recently, if you think back 30 years, you think back to 1995, most humans didn't even have a cell phone. There were still payphones, and there were pagers, and there was a phone book. And there was a completely different reality that we lived in. And I am absolutely certain that we see this based on where we are currently, but not where we will go from a development standpoint, from a possibility standpoint, and even from a technological advancement standpoint. So I only can imagine, with what we have as far as quantitative information, the number of humans that are coming to this region, that if we do nothing, we will choke on our growth. We have to find ways to continue to move people in this city that speak to the number of residents that are choosing to come, not to just our region, but to the city of Charlotte. We are the 14th largest city in the United States of America. Out of over 19,000 cities, towns, and villages, I actually think there's about 19,500 cities, towns.
Councilwoman.
Okay, we're at time. Thank you. JD, what about you? I know I saw at a forum you said you thought that the transit and transportation plan, if I recall what you said, it's good for the city, but a bad deal for District 5. Why is it a bad deal? And can you explain that?
Yeah, it's a bad deal for District 5 because it leaves us out completely with the short end of the stick. I think it's frustrating to have our current representative, who has sat as the vice chair of the transit committee for the city of Charlotte, to sell us out, to not really fight for us. There were different iterations of the PAVE Act in the months heading towards the final iteration of it, right? Where there was opportunity for city council to make sure that East Charlotte got a little bit, right? The silver line stops short of District 5. It stops at District 1 at Bojangles Coliseum. There are 5 designated strategic investment areas planned in District 5, with only really 2 of them being fully within the district and 1 already completely funded by taxpayers. Far East gets microtransit, but not better bus, and the greater Eastland area gets greater bus, but not microtransit. And to add on to what Council Member LaWana Mayfield said earlier, it doesn't exempted the sales tax from the prepared foods tax, right? It will increase it from 8.25%, which is currently what all Charlotteans pay for, to 9.25%, where a lot of District 5 families depend on prepared foods because they're working long hours, have long commutes, don't have time to cook for their families. That's going to be costly for those families, especially in a district where our average household income is less than $56,000 a year.
Okay, thanks. We are just about out of time. I hate it. We could keep talking for a long time, but I'd like to give you each 30 seconds just to make a closing pitch of why people should vote for you. JD, we'll go with you first. Why should people vote for you?
Absolutely. I love East Charlotte. I grew up here. It is my home. Not only do I have the lived experience from being low income, an immigrant, a worker, somebody that went to our public schools, but I also have the professional experience, right? I worked on Capitol Hill crafting policy. I know the ins and outs of what it takes to write good policy, but that centers communities in it, right? That a lot of times policy has to be reflected by the people that are impacted by it the most. And also think about the last 3.5 years. Have District 5 residents gotten a better life from it? Has their quality of life improved?
Thanks,
I think the answer is no. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. And Councilmember Molina, you'll have the last word. 30-second summary. Why should people vote for you?
Thank you, Tony. And thank you again to everyone who's come. I am Marjorie Molina, your proud 2-term city council member serving District 5. Together, we've done, again, amazing things. I go back to the fact that the last 30 acres of Eastland Yards was one of the most contentious things in the 2023 election, and we settled that. We have nearly $100 million of road infrastructure projects that are currently underway, voted on by this council. We have the Katie Blessing Center and so much more. We've made tremendous strides, and my leadership is not based in my college career. It's based in my adult life, 20 years as an adult home in East Charlotte.
Okay, great. That's going to have to be the final word. Thank you to you both in the final couple of weeks here before this primary. Again, we'll have all this information, links to the candidates' websites on theelectionhub.org. You can check that out. I know we're still in the middle of going through the districts. The next up will be District 1, except we're going to take a quick detour here because I see that Victoria Watlington, who is an at-large incumbent, we had the at-large panel before this District 5 discussion, but Councilmember Watlington, I don't want you to just be hanging there and not be able to talk. I know when candidates aren't allowed to talk, I know it gets frustrating. And, but why don't you go ahead, and all we really have time for is if maybe you could take a minute or two, introduce yourself, say why you're running at large, and just let people know who you are.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. I actually was coming from another forum and I'm sitting in another one right now, so I appreciate you allowing me to take some time just to say hello. I am Victoria Watlington. I'm one of your Charlotte City Council members at large. I've been serving on council since 2019. Previous to being at large, I was serving as the West and Southwest District 3 representative. I also serve as the chair of your Housing, Safety, and Community Committee as well. I'm running for the same reasons I've been running, and that's my neighbors, you all. I'm running on community-led planning, affordable housing, transportation, and economic mobility. Why? Because I am a product of economic mobility. Proud Army brat from Fort Bragg, been in Charlotte since 2009. I was able to attend college on a full scholarship, and that was life-changing for me. So I want to make sure that I'm enabling pathways through policy to continue to allow people to be able to live the life that they dream. When I think about what I bring to council, I'm an engineer as well as a long-term neighborhood leader. And so because of that, I bring a progressive, pragmatic, and professional approach to problem solving and to database decision-making here on council. Some of the things that I'm most proud of having been able to work with my colleagues on is having drafted the framework for what became the Safe Charlotte Plan that was focused on community policing and reimagining how we police, as well as how we approach violent crime as a public health issue. Also, as the housing chair, I was able to lead the committee last year to outline our $100 million housing bond strategy so that we were able to reorganize how we categorize and invest to match the outcomes for today. Also, as the previous land use committee chair for the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition, I was very, very blessed to have been able to spearhead the West Boulevard Corridor Playbook, which became one of the leading documents for the Corridors of Opportunity program that we are now in our 6th or so year on council. So as I think about why I continue to return, it's because I want to continue to be able to make database decisions, do root cause analysis, and really understand how to make an impact through our policy. I would love your contribution, your support, and your vote. Once again, I'm Victoria Watlington, council member at large. Thank you so much.
Okay, Councilmember Watlington, thank you. Appreciate you joining us. And I know a lot of people are juggling a lot of different events tonight. And so just a brief interlude there. Back to the at-large, but now we're going to go ahead and we'll move on. We're going to go to the District 1 race. This is the District 1 Democratic primary. The election's on September 9th. Early voting goes through September 6th. You can see there District 1 is sort of the center of the city. It covers Uptown, Plaza, Midwood, NoDa. Looks like it extends a little bit down into the south end, it looks like, I'm guessing. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we have two people running for this seat in the Democratic primary. There's incumbent Danté Henderson, who's the city's mayor pro tem and has been the representative of District 1 since 2022. She's being challenged by Charlene Henderson L., who ran for an at-large seat in 2023 and previously ran for District 4 in 2019. So welcome to you both. I see Councilmember Anderson and Charlene Henderson L. Are you there? Is your video on? Can you turn on your video? Do we have to turn on the video? Okay. All right. Well, why don't we, I think you're both there. Why don't we
start your video because the host has disabled it.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, it's not intentional. We're not, we're working. Let's see. Bree. Oh, there we go. Okay. We want to make sure everybody's on equal footing here. I know we had that last time. All right, so why don't we go ahead and maybe if you would each just take a minute and explain who you are, why you're running for Charlotte City Council. We'll start with the incumbent, Danté Anderson.
Okay, wonderful. Can you guys hear me okay?
Can hear you great.
Thank you, Tony. My name is Danté Anderson. I represent District 1 on Charlotte City Council, currently in my second term, seeking my third term. I'm also serve as the Mayor Pro Tem, the very first ever district rep to serve as Mayor Pro Tem in the history of Charlotte. I'm running on a platform of opportunity, and it has three tenets: the opportunity to earn a more livable wage, the opportunity to access housing that's more affordable, and the opportunity to live and thrive in safer communities. I'm all about expanding opportunities from Hidden Valley to Plaza, Midwood to NoDa, all the way down to Colonial Village. I have showed up and have proven that I lead and respect my residents of District 1. I will walk shoulder and shoulder with them throughout everything. You can check me out at danteforcharlotte.com. And I'm sure, Tony, you're going to ask some really good questions, so I'll be quiet now.
Well, no pressure. I'll do my best. Charlene Henderson, if you want to take a minute, describe who you are, introduce yourself, and say why you're running.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlene Henderson, and I am a candidate for District 1. I am a citizen. I am a product of the historic Hidden Valley. I come to you as a mother. I come to you as a basic citizen, but someone who really cares about the city. I'm different because of my community perspective. We need to have community perspective at the table, because without that, accountability is not there, the ethics is not there, and just the community-centered growth is not there. I am really, truly wanting to make sure that we are investing in stability and opportunity, but most of all, building the trust and addressing the equity and the inclusivity and making sure that we have civic engagement. Our goal is to be a part of the change that we are in need of. But like I tell everyone, I wouldn't challenge anyone if I didn't deem it necessary. And at this particular moment, the last 5 to 10 years, if you're still in a community or in a city where you see the same and you see it getting worse, especially with the infrastructure and the overbuilding, well, then it's time to make a change. It's time to at least slow up on some things, and let's have some community-centered growth going on. So thank you for the opportunity. My website is charlenehenderson.com. You can check out everything there.
Thanks. All right. So this District 1, it covers a lot of different ground. There some very dynamic places, other places maybe not doing quite so well. Wanted to ask you, I mean, what about Uptown? This district includes parts of Uptown. How do you think Uptown is doing? Is there anything more that the city should be doing to make sure that we have that the heart of our city is beating strong? We'll start with you, Charlene.
Well, when I drive and tour Uptown, it's very congested. So we want to make sure that we begin to look at the density. We want to make sure that we at least understand the business aspect of it, understanding that how can we grow? I'm in a place where I was in District 4, so we were gerrymandered, or they drew the lines and forced the seniors and those who are being retired into a district that is a business financing district. And so I'm looking for us to at least understand more of the dynamics of the business district and try to get a balance. Even when we talk about NoDa and Plaza Midwood, we have different issues. And so our issues are not as the same as the business district, but we want to see how we can continuously make those avenues cohesive to each other. Definitely make sure that you consistently look at how we're going to be able to bring those two together, especially in building trust and addressing the equity issues.
Okay. Councilmember Anderson, Uptown, how is it doing? What more needs to be done?
Okay, just unmuted. Uptown is really the face of the city of Charlotte. whenever you travel to any other city, whether it's domestic or internationally, you always want to go to their city center to see what's going on. Is it vibrant? Is it not? Is it unsafe? Is it not? And so there's a lot of work that needs to continue to occur uptown. Specifically, I have come out and said, I really believe that all 4 wards uptown need to be a no loitering zone. And we need to set a date in the future, whether it's 6 months, 9 months, but we set that date in the future where uptown is a no loitering zone. And then we back into it with an action plan as it relates to working with our county partners so they can work with drug rehabilitation and cognitive illness challenges that many of our unhoused have, and give us the opportunity to stand up a non-congregate shelter. Because so many people who are living on the streets, they just don't trust that open dormitory style of shelter. So we need to give them other options, and we need to give them an opportunity to have a leg up. And so I firmly believe that we need to invest in uptown. Now, I don't have uptown wholly. I represent the wards, the 1st ward and 2nd ward, and then a different council member represents the other 2 wards.
Right. Okay, so you don't have all of uptown, but you've got certainly a portion of it. So
Yes.
The next question I wanted to ask, this question is from Stephanie, who asked in the chat, what are your thoughts on neighborhoods like Druid Hills that are losing stakeholders due to gentrification? Where are stakeholders to move as taxes increase on properties that have been generationally held? And I know this is something, I don't mean to cut off her question, but this is something I know the city is paying a lot of attention to, as we're seeing property values rise, is happening in a lot of different parts of town, but it sounds like there are also some neighborhoods in District 1 where this is happening. What can the city do to keep people in their homes and prevent people from being priced out with property values rising and gentrification? We'll start with you, council member.
Sure. Well, we have the housing trust fund within the city of Charlotte, and we do 2 allotments annually. Sometimes we could do more depending on what's going on. But in this last allotment that we did in June, District 1 received the most affordable housing units, both for rent and for sale. And so we are doubling down in District 1 as it relates to not only standing up new affordable housing units, but protecting affordable housing units. For neighborhoods like Druid Hills and other neighborhoods, there's several of them that are proximate to uptown, which is why they are neighborhoods of choice. We have to make sure, number one, that seniors are able to age in place. So if there are any critical home repairs that need to occur, whatever we can do to help them with that. We have done that with the city of Charlotte and certain key neighborhoods throughout District 1 that have seniors who are aging in place. But we have to protect seniors who have been in their homes for generations. We also have to help them with their taxes. And the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County put money in a fund to help seniors pay for their tax increase. Now, I would just want to end by saying the city of Charlotte has not increased taxes this year. You're not seeing that increase come from us. I opened up my home assessment as well about a couple weeks ago. I was surprised. It was like, wow, yeah, it's definitely accruing. So we have to do more to help those families who have lived there, really the true fabric and charm of the Queen City, stay as the city continues to grow and thrive.
Okay. I want to throw it to Charlene. What about gentrification? What can the city be doing to keep people, in houses and neighborhoods they can afford?
Well, when I started off, I started off with we were forced into an area because of gentrification and drawing of the lines. And so when we talk about seniors, I would love to see a policy that is driven toward incentives publicly and privately that will gear up to help those seniors freeze their taxes, especially those who are in a older state of mind, or just elders in general. I would like to see them be able to utilize the housing trust fund, but I also want to see that housing trust fund grow and then have the accountability piece be put in place, because there are great programs, and I don't discredit the city for a lot of the programs that they do have. However, those programs need to have someone to actually go back and look at where they're giving the money, who's getting the funds, and then who's holding each other accountable for it. My goal is to see, and I have family members that live in Druid Hills, so I hear it all the time. I hear that sometimes the leaders do not show up. And so my goal is to make sure that I show up, listen to the concerns that they do have, and then take those concerns back to the dais, and let's sit down and have some community spoken words and see how we're able to be the change that we need to see.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I apologize. We are running out of time. These things go very quickly. I do want to give you each 30 seconds. Just if you could make your final pitch, why people should vote for you in this primary election. Charlene, why don't you go ahead and start?
Well, number one, I am a citizen just like everyone else, first and foremost. And so I understand the dire community needs that we have. My goal is to be a voice for the citizens, to make sure that they are being heard, and then to start looking at those policies that are there that can be at least brought to a point where we all can feel more stable about it. Right now, the transparency is not there. And so I want to be able to bring transparency, accountability, and proven leadership from a community-centered standpoint. Charlene Henderson, District 1.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Mayor Pro Tem Danté Anderson, if you want to go ahead, 30 seconds. Why should people vote for you?
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. I have the proven track record from, like I said, from Plaza Midwood to Hidden Valley, to Colonial Village, to parts of NoDa. The street vending pilot is going on right now. I have showed up and proven for my district over the last 2 terms. But I also want to say this. I have the lived experience. Yes, I'm a Charlotte native. Yes, but you know exactly who I am. You know who I am. I challenge anyone to go out and look at my voting record and see if you find my voting record out there, and see if you find anyone who wants to represent District 1, if their voting record is present out there on the board of elections. I would challenge you to say, someone who felt so ardently about not wanting to be a part of District 1 will sue the city of Charlotte for becoming a part of District 1 just a couple years ago. And now they want to represent those neighborhoods who they felt like they were so differently from. Go out and do your research around who's wanting to represent you.
Okay.
Danté for Charlotte.com. Thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful evening.
Okay. Thank you both. I appreciate you spending time with us and helping people understand what you stand for. We do have information on both of these candidates and links to their campaign websites. You can find it at theelectionhub.org. We're going to go ahead and move along to District 3. This is a race on that the district you can see there covers West Charlotte, Airport area, and Steele Creek. And the candidates, I think we have several of them here, fortunately. We have Tiawana Delling Brown. I think she's here. And Joy Mayo. I know she was here earlier. Is she here? Yes, there she is. Okay. And I think Warren Turner is also here, right? And then we've got all the videos up and working, I think. Yes. Okay. Well, I think I see you all. So very good. So this is District 3, West Charlotte, the airport, Steele Creek. This is the Democratic primary. The election is on September 9th. Early voting goes through September 6th. We got the 3 candidates here. If we could maybe just go down the line, if you could each spend a minute, please introduce yourself, say who you are and why you're running. Let's start with the incumbent, Tiawana Brown.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. I pulled over to be here. I just left another event. My name is Tiawana Brown, and I am running to stay in the seat for Charlotte City Council District 3. I'm running off of a proven track record of being the people's champ, being committed to the community, being authentic in my meetings, being a resource for all of the community leaders, standing bold and courageous to uplift the voices that are often marginalized and left behind. When I ran in 2023, I ran on a record that I would be different. I ran on a record that I would be accountable, accessible, and available, and I've done that. Being a member of the Housing Safety and Community Committee is amazing. I serve with 4 other phenomenal individuals on council, and we get things done. I'll get into that later, but it's an absolute honor and joy to be able to stand in my record, stand in my truth, and be there for the people like I said I would be. So thank you so much for having me today. You can find my proven track record, which is extensive, at tiawanabrown.com. www.tiawanabrown.com. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Well, let's go to the challengers. Joy Mayo, why don't you go ahead? If you could just take a minute, explain who you are, why you're running, and why people ought to vote for you.
Thank you so much. So my name is Joy Mayo. I am running to represent District 3 for Charlotte City Council. I am a former middle school math teacher with CMS, a neighborhood leader, and the founder and board chair of Transforming Nations Forward, a community development nonprofit working to bring opportunity, investment, and safety to one of Charlotte's most overlooked regions, the Nations Forward Corridor. I've seen firsthand how policy decisions can either empower or ignore a region. And that's really why I'm running, to make sure that areas like Nations Forward are receiving the investment opportunity that they need. My platform is really about safe and inclusive communities, making sure that we are listening to community leaders who often know what issues are going on in their neighborhoods. Also, they know generally the solutions. So I think really being thoughtful of that. I'm also a big fan of increased opportunity. So I think that if we're being thoughtful of how we're growing as a city, we can create opportunities for everyone to get a piece of the pie, particularly when we think of District 3 with the main economic driver, the airport, right in our backyard. And then lastly, smart growth. As an environmentalist, I am a huge fan of us being thoughtful of how we are growing our city. Pardon me, sorry.
All right. Thanks. I think that's time. Warren Turner, if you want to introduce yourself and say why you're running.
Thank you. My name is Warren Turner. Native Charlottetown, grew up in Steele Creek area from Nations Forward Road, Ramelwood community, where I attended Sterling Elementary, J. Mason Smith Junior High School, and a graduate of Olympic High School. I'm running for the same reason I ran in 2003, unfortunately. When I took over 2003, the district in 2003, we had the highest unemployment rate, we had the highest crime rate, we had no new development, nor new housing in that area. When I left the district, we were the #1 employer. We had reduced our crime and had investments come back to our community. We put new housing on the Freedom Drive corridor and also on Wilkinson Boulevard and up and down West Boulevard. So today, that as I hear those very same concerns, it bothers me that after we made so much great progress. So I'm back there to fight for the people again, and let's see, can we get this crime under control?
All right, thanks. Question for the three of you. I just want to ask, I know you're out all of you are out in the community a lot. You're talking to neighborhood groups. You're talking at election forums. What are you hearing from people in District 3 about what they want out of a council member, and how can you deliver that for them? We'll start with you, Warren Turner.
Well, because our district is very diverse and there are many challenges in different areas. For instance, that we need to address our housing issue in certain areas, but we also have areas where we have too much housing, and particularly of the same type of housing, where we are now doing sprawl growth, where we have lack of infrastructure. So people are concerned about sitting in congested area in traffic, as well as losing our tree canopy. That concerns me as a Charlotte, and looking back over my life, when we were once known as one of the best cities that had a great tree canopy, as well as very clean city. So we start losing those kind of qualities. It affects our health, it affects our mental capacity. So that's, I hear, and also I want to talk about where people are really concerned about our crime. And I think we all should be concerned about crime, as you have talked about. And I hope that we get an opportunity to discuss our latest murder that took place at one of our transit ramps.
Okay. Joy Mayo, what about you? What do you hear from the community? What are people wanting out of a city council member, and how can you meet that need?
So I'm hearing a lot about people are wanting a city council member that not only listens to community members, but also helps empower them. As Warren mentioned, District 3 is very diverse culturally, different ethnic backgrounds, also age-wise. We have a large youth population in the area. And something I really hope to do as a District 3 representative is include more people in commissions and boards that the city and the county are in. I think that is so imperative that we have a diverse representation in different committees and organizations so that everyone is getting a seat at the table. When we're talking about the low voter turnout that we have here in Mecklenburg County, and the numbers have been abysmal with early voting so far, I think part of that is really because people are not feeling engaged. And that stems from, we need to be working with people year round, engaging with them to see the change that they want to see in their community. So as a District 3 rep, that will be one of my main priorities, making sure that everyone has opportunities to be involved with the city in various capacities on commissions and boards that are relevant to what their concerns are. I think that is very imperative when we talk about why Mecklenburg County has such a low voter turnout for Democratic primaries and elections.
All right. Councilmember Brown, what about you? What do you hear from people in District 3 about what they want out of a city council member, and how do you propose to meet those needs?
Thank you so much. The city is growing every day. I have lived in District 3 my entire life for 54 years, from being born in poverty in Southside Homes housing project to living on Nation Ford Road and Treetop that's now called something else, and now living in Steel Creek. So what I know that people want is what I do, was what I deliver. Joy mentioned the youth. Absolutely. They lead with championships. The youth come into the town halls. I've hosted them. I'm the champion of hosting youth town halls. Warren mentioned crime. I advocated and allocated for ATV to have more money. When we talk about boards and commissions, as Mrs. Mayo mentioned again, I don't choose anybody that's not in District 3. When I go down boards and commissions, I always select the people that are in my district to let them know, even though I don't see them every day, that's a reach that I can reach them. Community engagement, neighborhoods, from Steel Creek, from Steelberry, from West Boulevard, from Wesley Hills, to all of them. When they email me, I come, I show up. Can we be everywhere? No. Is there room for improvement? Yes. But being accountable, available, and accessible, and bringing their voice to the table is what I'm known for. I pride myself in knowing that it is not my seat, it's the people's seat. I was elected for the people, by the people. We have enough of politicians. I am the people's champ. I'm asking you to keep me in the seat to fight differently. You've seen it all before, you heard it all before, but I am different and rare, and I deliver. Thank you.
Okay. One question I wanted to ask you, as it relates to District 3, you were indicted in May, charged with fraud. Those charges are pending. You said you're not guilty. You said you're innocent. How big of a deal is that to your constituents? Do you hear a lot about that, or is that not that big a deal?
Everybody, transparency, and accountability. I'm surprised that you're asking me this question, because I do have a due process and I have an attorney team, but I'm going to answer it because I don't run from anything. So truth and transparency, let me have my day in court. Number one, I haven't been charged with anything. I haven't been convicted. So I do have a due process, and that's in the United States of America. As you know, I lead justice impacted through the nation, not just in Charlotte. So my life is an open book. I stand on justice and social work. So there's nothing for me to run from. I will say, let me have my day in court. Yes, it's important. My constituents don't talk about it. The media does.
Okay, fair enough. Any of the challengers want to weigh in on
fair
that?
Enough.
No, I mean, as I said, you pleaded not guilty. You definitely deserve your day in court, for sure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, yeah. What about, I'd like to talk a little bit about growth. Some of you mentioned it. If you look in District 3, it's been kind of uneven. If you look down Wilkinson Boulevard, you see apartments coming up. You see there's a lot of growth, a lot of development in Steele Creek. What's your outlook on that as far as working with developers, and what do you think the city ought to be doing as it relates to working with developers and building housing? Let's start with Joy Mayo.
Thank you. As mentioned previously, I am a proponent of smart growth. As an environmentalist, I've worked with Sustain Charlotte for years and been a fangirling them for probably like 9+ years as well. So when we think about that, I think it's important to build density, so multifamily near existing infrastructure and transit lines. I do think it's imperative with the blue line that we're increasing density along the blue line so that we are not always relying on cars for people to travel. We have such a great rail system, but there are other amenities that people can use, particularly if we're thinking of the 1 cent sales tax, what that could potentially bring. So I am not a fan of urban sprawl. I think, when we think of the loss of our tree canopy, that's something that is near and dear to my heart as well, with part of my profession. But also, we can develop our city in a way that we have 10-minute cities that people can live, work, play within 10 minutes of where they live. And they can use multiple forms of transit. It doesn't just have to be cars. It could be cycling. It could be walking within a 10-mile or 10-minute radius. And I think that is super essential as we're thinking about continuing to develop our city. I think we need to be smart about how we're growing so that we are being thoughtful of future generations, but also the quality of life for those generations. So please check out my website for more information about smart growth. That is something that I talk extensively about.
Okay. Councilmember Brown, you'd like to get in on that as far as working with developers? How much should the city be doing that? What do you think of the growth in certain parts of your district?
Absolutely. Steele Creek is the largest and the fastest growing, and apartments are going up everywhere. My suggestion and my work ethics is work with everybody. We have to grow the city forward, but we also want to make sure that our people that are in homes historically, that we don't have our corporate owners and buyers coming in, taking over and pricing us out. HOA, I'm not a fan of. I'll be perfectly honest with that. I want people to understand the financial means and aspects of residual and financial literacy when it comes to home ownership and residual, passing it down to family members. Working with development is not a bad thing. Smart development, making sure that the AMI is included, that we are including everybody, that when we talk about home ownership, that anybody can live in District 3 in any part of the district that they want to live in. And the way to do that is to bring everybody to the table, have all dots connected, making all the puzzles work together. And I've done that. I meet with developers. I meet with the team members. When they get ready to develop and write out a plan, I make sure that everybody's at the table and everybody's included. So thank you so much for that question. I also talk about that on my website at www.tiawanabrown.com. All
right. Warren Turner, what do you think? Working with developers, housing needs, growth in District 3.
Let me go back. When I left in 2011 from the city council, I left a blueprint for those very things that we had accomplished. But we also, at that time, I think we were more conscious as a council, how we handled things with smart growth and sprawl. And we had policies in place for that. I'm very concerned that it seems to me that we have really thrown that out the window. The city council makes those decisions. If the land is not already zoned for that use, then any rezoning that comes before our city council and the citizens does not approve of and feel like it's not going to be a quality of life for them and improve their quality of life, you have to come to the table. And unfortunately, we have created this problem ourselves. We are congested down in Steele Creek. We're congested everywhere else across the city of Charlotte. And people on 160 alone, we are allowing developers to build multifamily up and down Steele Creek. And we can't get in and out of our communities now because we have had absolutely no new infrastructure. And we used to have a program, what we call shovel-ready programs, and one started on President Obama, and 160 was on that list, and it got bumped. And that money was deferred to other places in the city that was roads where their program, shovel-ready programs was better advocated for than ours for whatever godly reason. So when I look at that, I'm telling you, we have to seriously talk about a moratorium. We should really focus on whether or not, if a land is not already zoned for that use, and they don't have to come before the city of Charlotte to get that approved and meet with the communities, that's something we can do about that. But what we can do things about, we should. And when we are approving zonings, now they have a council that constantly approves zonings and do not listen to the people that it's going to impact directly every day. We cannot get in and out of our communities. We can't get up and down the road. And now we have cars sitting. We lost tree canopies, where once I used to see turkeys. But at the end of the day, I want us to really think about the long-term impact of what we are causing. So we have to fix them.
We're at time. Okay. Thank you. And I know it's been a quick discussion. We only got a few questions in, but I do want to give you each 30 seconds. If we could go down the line, if you could just make your closing pitch, why people should vote for you. And we'll go ahead. We'll start with Warren Turner.
Well, proven leadership. As I stated earlier, I have handled and dealt with those issues. I'm not one that needs to go there and learn the job. I actually did the job. I was very successful at what we've done. And for District 3 across, not just in Steer Creek, but in West Boulevard, Wilson Boulevard, Freedom Drive, I brought new economic development, new housing, as well as transportation. I oversee the first 9.2 miles of the light rail system. And I know that right now we're facing a crucial part. You did not ask that question tonight, but that is a very important part, because everything that is happening in Airwood and Steer Creek and Clanton Road area is what they use potential it may happen. I have a very big concern about this whole project, and I still believe that we need proven leadership that got the job done then, and I can do the job now. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Joy Mayo, 30 seconds. Why should people vote for you?
Thank you so much. So again, I'm Joy Mayo. I'm running to represent District 3 for Charlotte City Council. I am a former teacher. I taught middle school math right in Steele Creek at Southwest Middle for 4 years before my transition to nonprofit work. I have proven leadership as well with things that have occurred recently and last couple months. We have seen some great work based on my advocacy and work with different neighborhood organizations. The city just released a new initiative called Neighbors Building Neighborhoods, based on the advocacy and work that I have been doing. I will bring that advocacy and platform and that dedication District 3-wide. I've already been doing the work with the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition and the Steele Creek Residents Association. I'm excited to really help residents and empower them to create the change that they want to see, which is what I am already doing in the nation's fourth corridor. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Brown, we'll close with you. When people walk into that voting booth, why should they vote for you?
Thank you so much. I do appreciate the opportunity to be on the call tonight. I am in the seat. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I won, and I won big. I won every single precinct in my district, which means that people wanted something different. I am different. I have a proven leadership, but it's a different type of leadership. It's a leadership that's not being brought, sold, or told. I use my seat and my voice for the people, elected for the people, by the people. And yes, being the rookie on the block, I have learned a lot. There's so much more to learn. I look forward to continuing the work, sitting in the seat, using my voice to uplift the people like I've always done. Not just a select group of people, but all people. You chose me. Thank you so much. I don't take it lightly. Tiawana Brown, Charlotte City Council. TiawanaBrown.com. www.tiawanabrown.com. Charlotte City Council. When we fight, we win. The people's champ. The one and only. Thank you so much for supporting me, and have a great night.
All right. Thank you to all three of the candidates for District 3. We appreciate the conversation. We appreciate you coming out tonight and making yourselves available. You can find out information on the candidates and this race and links to their websites and other information at theelectionhub.org. I'm Tony Messia with the Charlotte Ledger. We're continuing. We've got a couple more to go. 2 more districts left. We're going to try and get them in here as best we can. The next up is District 4. It's the University City. It's the blue area in the upper right there, the University City area. It is represented by incumbent Renee Perkins Johnson, who is with us tonight. And I'm sure she is sad that her challenger, Will Russell, is not here tonight. So we're just going to talk to Councilwoman Johnson for a few minutes, just about this, about her election, about her candidacy. Councilwoman Johnson, thanks for joining us. The video looks like it's working, right?
Thank you,
We're
Tony.
good.
Can you hear me?
Thanks. If you want to go ahead I can hear you just
Okay,
fine.
good.
And if you want to go ahead and take a minute and just explain to people, maybe people don't know who you are. You've been on the council, for a number of years, since 2019, I believe. And if that's right, why don't you go ahead and just explain who you are and why you're running?
Good evening. I'm Renee Perkins Johnson, and I'm honored to serve as your Charlotte City Councilwoman for District 4 since 2019. I'm running for re-election because our community deserves steady, principled leadership that puts residents, not development, first. Over the past 5 years, I've consistently fought for equitable housing, responsible development, stronger businesses, and public accountability. I've raised the bar on developer accountability. I've challenged the status quo, and I've led efforts to bring balanced infrastructure and lifted our community by creating the District 4 Coalition. I'm here to continue the work, to serve with purpose, and to keep fighting for balanced growth in District 4. Let's keep moving forward together.
All right, thanks. And so this is the University City District. And as I mentioned, your opponent, Will Russell, couldn't join us tonight. This is a rematch of a couple of years ago. You can find out, people can find out information about him and as well as you and a little bit about this race at theelectionhub.org. You did mention, Councilmember Johnson, you mentioned development and developers. What is your thinking? And I think you're known on the council as someone who maybe is a little more skeptical of what they propose, or maybe works more with the neighborhoods and sides with the neighbors a little bit more. I'm guessing if I looked at the votes, that yours would be maybe more no's than some of your colleagues. How do you think about working with developers and neighborhoods to make sure that that we have the kind of growth that we need?
I know that the city is growing, and I know that growth and development is necessary. But I've advocated for smart development. Yes, I do listen to residents. I'm proud to listen to the residents. I've created a District 4 coalition, which is a group of residents throughout the whole district that come together and meet. They discuss development. So I listen and I engage with them. So yes, I'm asking questions that most residents in the city are asking about balanced growth and responsible growth and infrastructure. So I pushed and championed the city's only infrastructure meeting in December 2022, where we talked about infrastructure specifically and solely. We talked about the impact of growth on our stormwater, on our safety services, on our roads, on our transit. And we just had a meeting to really talk about infrastructure because it's necessary. So I'm not anti-development, but I am pro-smart development and pro-resident.
I believe you voted against the Unified Development Ordinance and the 2040 plan, I believe. Do you think that those, in hindsight, was that the right vote?
Absolutely. And it wasn't just the plan. Of course, you need a plan in a city. It was the provision 2.1 specifically. I was a realtor for over a decade, and I believe that location matters. And I think in hindsight, history will show that those of us who voted against it were right.
What are you seeing as the effects of that?
Oh, we were told that it would help to increase affordability because of supply and demand. Well, we have to take into effect, in my opinion, I think that there's some greed here, some developer greed. Like there's half a doubles, they're like $500,000. That's not affordable. So and then and what I was concerned about was areas that didn't have the HOAs, how that was going to just have an immediate effect on those neighborhoods and the character of those neighborhoods. So I stand on that vote.
Okay. When you go out throughout your district, throughout, University City, Mallard Creek. What are you hearing from residents? What is it they want out of a city council member? What are their concerns, and how are you addressing them?
They want someone they can trust. They want someone responsive, someone accessible, and someone who's going to fight for them. And they know that I've done that, and I will continue to do that. I have an email right now about the impact of all of this growth and the trees. Toby Creek, someone wrote, they don't hear the frogs. You know, they used to hear the frogs, and just the impact on wildlife and the trees so residents in District 4, they want balanced development. It's a beautiful area, a lot of trees and greenery, and we've got to do this right. We get one opportunity to do this, and we can't just roll out the red carpet for any development. We have to be smart, and we have to be wise in creating the future for this area.
How do you think the city is doing on the issue of transparency and openness?
I think there's room for lots of improvement. Yeah, I think there's room for improvement in that area. And I hope that residents feel that I've been an authentic and trustworthy voice on council.
All right. Well, thanks. And I apologize. I know it's a short conversation. We have a lot of candidates tonight, but if you want to go ahead and take 30 seconds and just make that elevator pitch of why people, when they go into the voting booth, should vote for you.
Thank you. I've spent the last 5 years fighting for the people of District 4, not the insiders, not the establishment. My opponent is backed by those same interests and developers because he is a developer, and he will profit from while our communities are left behind. I've been that voice on council. I've fought for public accountability. I've fought for balanced growth, balanced infrastructure, and smart growth. I ask for your vote so that I may continue to fight for District 4.
All right, Councilmember Johnson, thank you so much for joining me today and for sticking with us for so long here to the end. And I appreciate you you coming on and talking about your views. And if people want to find out more, I'm guessing you have a website.
I do. It's ReneePerkinsJohnson.com. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got information at theelectionhub.org just about that race, about you, your opponent, some of the differences there. So we tell people they can look at that. Thank you very much. Okay, we got the final one of the night. We've been talking to Democratic candidates for the last almost 2 hours. We are now going to talk to a couple of Republican candidates. This is the only Republican primary in the city. It's in District 6, which is the South Charlotte. It's the SouthPark area, the area there in purple. We have the two candidates, Krista Bokhari and Sary Chakra. And I think they're both here. Let's see. Do I see them both? I see them both. So the video is working, so we can go ahead and get started. We are going to run a little bit over time. We had hoped to wrap up by 8:30. It's going to be more probably 8:35, 8:40. But we did, I think, a pretty good job staying on time, and appreciate if you've been here for 2 hours. Thank you for having your Zoom on for that long. Why don't we go ahead like we have with everybody else? And this is the other interesting thing about this seat is that it is an open seat. So the current office holder, Edwin Peacock, is not running for this seat. He was appointed to this seat, and he's running at large as a Republican. So this is an open seat. So we have two challengers, no incumbent. So why don't we go ahead and if each of you could take a minute, say who you are and why you're running for city council. We'll start with Krista Bokhari.
Krista, you're on mute.
No, on mute. Yep. Okay, hold on. Krista, get on mute.
Are we good?
Okay, there you go. Go ahead. Yes,
Okay.
You're good.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me tonight, Tony. I am a mother, a marketing director, and a longtime community advocate for District 6. I'm running because I'm ready to hit the ground. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I have provided a high level of constituent services over the last 6 years, actually 7 to 8 years now, behind the scenes. But now I'm ready to step up as my own leader with my own leadership style to represent the candidate, or I'm sorry, to represent the constituents of the district with a high level of constituent services. I am really concerned about the level of transparency that's happening on our council right now. And I'm ready to step up to provide that transparency and diversity of thought. We haven't had a Republican woman lead on this council for over 20 years. I think we are really losing that voice in this community. And there are a lot of Republican women and unaffiliated voters who align with my ideals. I am ready to be a bridge builder, but also provide checks and balances on council. I will lead and make all of my decisions using data, and I'm ready to deliver results for the district. I understand how the city works, and I think that will be vitally important to provide results for the constituents.
Okay, I think we're
I
at
hope I
time.
can count on your vote on September 9th.
Okay, thank you. And next we'll go to Sary Chakra. And I do appreciate, I do believe in your questionnaire for the election hub, you did say that your name is pronounced Gary, but with an S. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I've used
Okay.
that quite a bit on this
Okay,
campaign.
well, that's good. So I want to make sure I had that right. Why don't you go ahead, take a minute, explain who you are and why you're running for the city council.
Yeah, absolutely. So last name is Chakra as well. So Sary Chakra. First of all, good evening. Thank you for having me partake in this candidate forum. My name is Sary Chakra, and I was born right here and raised in Charlotte. I'm married, and I am a Lebanese American, first generation. I come from a construction and a small business background. Where I live, and I spent my career working on building projects, creating jobs, and solving problems. I've seen firsthand how City Hall, decisions made at City Hall affect families and businesses and neighborhoods. So my top priorities are public safety, traffic and infrastructure, and transparency within our city government. For public safety, we need to give CMPD resources and technology to keep our neighborhoods secure and encourage community policing. For traffic, I'll push for smarter signal timing and long-term investments on our public transportation systems. And for transparency, I make sure every resident will know how I vote, why I vote, and the decisions that are being made at City Hall. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Wanted to ask you first question. I was talking to a SouthPark area resident the other day. It was a resident at the Sharon, and we have we do a program there every month. The Charlotte Ledger does. He came up. We were talking about the transit plan, and he said, "Well, I don't understand why I would vote for it because it seems like it would raise my taxes, but that there's nothing for our district. There's nothing for South Charlotte in this transit plan." What do you think of the transit? Is that a fair assessment, first of all? And what's your opinion on the transit plan? We'll start with you, Sary.
So, okay, I've said this before, and when it comes to District 6, we're probably not going to see as much regarding all the other districts when it comes to this. However, you have to take a step back and look at also you are serving Charlotte as a whole. I hold a vote to where you're serving everyone. So I think it's important, like I said, as a Republican, I don't really like raising taxes. And I don't think anyone likes to pay more taxes. But regardless, as a Charlottean, I see it as being very important because it's going to fund the roads that we're driving on, the rail system. And actually, I did some research and I got on the City of Charlotte's website, and I'm sorry, I'm pulling out my phone real quick, but a platform of communication is really important. People don't really know how this is being paid, like who's paying for it. And on the City of Charlotte's website, I went in there to take a look. It said 42% of Mecklenburg County residents are paying for it, while 28% of local businesses will be paying for it, 12% of commuters from outside the county, and 17% tourists and visitors. So I hope I answered that properly. I understand District 6 probably won't see as many benefits from it, but as a Charlottean, you will see benefits as a whole.
Okay. Krista, what do you think? The transit plan would increase the sales tax. Would District 6 get anything?
Well, I think that's part of the job of the district representative to work with the appointed board to make sure that they're getting what they need. I'm like many taxpayers right now, I'm conflicted on this. We don't have a comprehensive plan. And I recognize there's a need for the investment. We cannot become the next Atlanta, but we cannot keep taxing our citizens and not reinvesting into those communities. District 6 provides a hefty amount of the capital taxes that goes into the city. We must start seeing a return, or our residents are going to rise up and fight against these types of things. They are not going to vote for this if they are not going to see a return. And I can tell you that as a mother of 3 who is carpooling my children around the city every day, when I look at the blueprint that the city has released out, I am concerned. It's hard for me to vote for this because they talk about bikes, or they reference bikes over 300 times, but only reference congestion 3. So I am hoping that the city is going to come out with a comprehensive plan, and there's going to be more transparency around this. But in the meantime, while we don't have that transparency, I actually posted today about this on Facebook. I think what they must do to give the residents a little bit of confidence around this is tell who they will be appointing to the oversight committee. That is, I think, vitally important. I think they need to do that before the vote in November.
Okay. Next, I wanted to ask you each a little bit about your background. Since this is an open seat, there's no incumbent. We'll start with you, Krista. I mean, I think people know the Bokhari name. Your husband represented the district for a number of years. How are you different from your husband, and how are you the same?
Oh, well, we carry the same principles, right? Our Republican principles are important to us. We want to be a good steward of the taxpayers' dollars. We are absolutely both going to back our police department, and crime and public safety is very important to both of us. Where I am different is, I mean, obviously I have a much different personality than Tark. One of the things that's been frustrating, I think, on the campaign trail is hearing that, that I am being compared to him and saying I'll just be an extension of him. I am my own person. I'm ready to stand up as my own leader. And I think that I really want the constituents and the voters to know that. And know that I am looking forward to representing them. So I hope that will become clear as I talk to the voters and this process moves forward.
Okay. Sary, I'd like to talk a little bit about your background. Tell me a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and why, what got you into, what pulled you toward running for this seat.
Sure. A little about me is I stated earlier, I'm a Charlottean, born and raised. I've lived in different districts throughout city of Charlotte, and I currently reside in District 6. The past couple of months, I would say the past 8 months, I wasn't really happy with what's been transpiring with local government. I am 33 years old, so I understand I am new to the table, but as a resident and a constituent of District 6, I saw an opportunity when Mr. Bokhari took a job with the Trump administration. I congratulated him. I saw an opportunity. As you stated earlier, it was an open seat, and I have certain beliefs. My opponent has certain beliefs, and that's what makes it healthy. I think a primary is healthy. I wish the turnout would be heavier in presence with people. People don't really come out for a primary to vote, but one of the things I'm running on is transparency as well. And by doing so is having a communication platform. Now, I come from a private background, so I don't have that many followers on Twitter yet. But believe me, if I do get elected, I hope to bring in a lot. But more importantly, I'm going to post periodically, meeting with my constituents, seeing what problems need to be addressed, and just being an open book. And if elected, having open office hours and just meeting with people. It's all about talking to the people you live around.
All right. Wanted to ask a question, maybe we'll limit it to 1 minute each, just on development. We've seen in District 6, and it's mostly South Charlotte, I guess, is we've seen some of these after the UDO passed. We've seen some triplexes. We've written about this at the Charlotte Ledger pop up in some of these neighborhoods. One off of Barclay Downs, one in Governor Square, one in Lansdowne. We've seen this, being able to develop triplexes by right in residential neighborhoods that previously were single family. How good of a job is the city doing in managing, these balances between developers and neighborhoods? We'll start with you, Sary.
So, city planning needs to be pristine when it comes to this kind of stuff. You can't be in a residential dwelling and right next door, they put up this triplex and his neighbor does it. I mean, we need to ask ourselves, like, can the infrastructure sustain it? Can your neighborhoods sustain it? So I think we can do a better job. I think when that happened, a lot of people rushed and building permits went up and people tried to take advantage of it. But more importantly, I think affordable housing is all. I mean, did we bring up affordable housing? I'd like to speak about it in District 6 as well.
Just if you want to riff on it for a few seconds,
just
go
briefly,
ahead.
Just briefly, because we're running over time. I don't know if I get asked it, but when it comes to affordable housing, I want people to understand it's not just people often assume it's just like, lower income residents, but it also means our public servants, our teachers, our police officers, firefighters, our nurses. These very people who protect and serve our community every day should be able to afford and live in District 6. I'd be honored to have them as my neighbors. They're the very people who shape society and keep us safe.
All right, Krista, what do you think? Triplexes, higher density developments in neighborhoods. How good of a job is the city doing, and what can it do better?
I mean, as a member of SPAN and just being in the community, I've heard about that quite a bit. We have helped the Mammoth Oaks community and other communities deal with their rezoning issues that have come up from this rezoning change. The major problem is that they made this change. It didn't really move the needle on affordable housing at all, and they never took into consideration what was going to happen to our infrastructure. They should have addressed that before they allowed for that change in the language. So now we are here dealing with the unintended consequences, and those are real consequences for our neighborhoods. We have neighborhoods trying to come together and work with the General Assembly to change some of the language in the deed restrictions. And I'm here and ready to fight along with them because it's what's right. I am for growth, but it must be smart growth. And we cannot change the characters of our neighborhoods with wide sweeping policy like this. People's homes, that's often their biggest investment that they have made. And the city coming in and this type of change, wide sweeping change like this was really a slap in the face to the districts, to the citizens of Charlotte and the district.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's all the time we've got. We've had a lot of candidates tonight. We've been going for more than 2 hours. So we're going to just cut off this discussion. I would like each of you take 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I know, but the people want more. I know people, we could go all night. I'm sure everybody's stuck with us to the end, but if we could each take 30 seconds, just give me your closing pitch, why people should vote for you when they go into that voting booth. We'll start with Krista Bokhari.
Okay. Well, I have proven my leadership within the community. I'm also a longtime Republican. I have put my Republican principles in action in the community for almost 20 years now. I am a name that you can trust. I have work to back up my claims. So I have a past of going out and working with the community before I ever thought about running for this seat. And I did it because I wanted to do it. I'm ready to step up for our police department, and I'm ready to provide a high level of constituent services to the district and the city, because that's what I have been doing behind the scenes. I'm ready to step up as my own leader. I hope I can count on your vote on September 9th. Early voting has already started. So hopefully I will get to meet you out at the polls. Thank you so much for doing this, Tony, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Thank you. Sary, Chakra, last word, 30 seconds. Why should people vote for you when they walk into that voting booth?
Sure. What sets me apart is simple. I've built businesses from the ground up. I know how to lead under pressure, and I know how to get results. I love this city. I was born here. I've built my life and my businesses here, and I want to make sure Charlotte remains safe, strong, and a thriving community for the next generation. District 6 deserves a fresh voice at City Hall, someone who will put residents first and bring transparency, accountability, and results. I'm ready to be that leader, and I humbly ask for your support. Please visit sarychakra.com, and voting is on September 9th. Early voting from September 2nd to September 6th is open at all polling locations. Currently, this week, it's only open off North College Street at the Hal Marshall Center, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you, and I appreciate you guys having me this evening.
All right. Thanks. Yes. This week it's at the Hal Marshall Center. Next week, I think it's 9 early voting locations through September 6th, and then all the precincts on Tuesday, September 9th. Thank you both. Great discussion. And thank you to all the candidates who joined us tonight. Appreciate it. If you need more information, go to the election hub, theelectionhub.org. Thank you to Sucharita Kadali, who's worked tirelessly to make that project happen. Also to Bree Chrisman on the Charlotte Ledger's team, helping us get this webinar up and running. I'm Tony Messia with the Charlotte Ledger. This is going to do it. We're going to have, we will release this as a video. You will see a portion of this, on the Election Hub and on YouTube. We'll get it out there in case anybody missed portions of it tonight. Thank you very much to everybody for watching. That'll do it for tonight.